afraid to look up, and I think that is perfect right now. But for me, I want to see some of our bigger names take that high ground and turn it into a win.
Okay, we'll have to see if that happens here. Game number 3 is ready, so casters, over to you.
This is that pivotal halfway point, game number 3, where it really kind of controls your destiny and really decides how much control you have over the rest of the game. Do you get to play freely for the win or placement, or do you have to go for the win? Right now, Monster, that threshold is 63 points.
Yeah, I feel like we've been very distracted by the fact that these wins have been so good, so explosive, and honestly extremely entertaining. But we do have to start focusing on who is in that race like you're talking about here, Jacob, because, yeah, it does matter playing consistent as well.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where you kind of look at the games go by, you just try to get as close to the top of the leaderboard as possible, not save it for that last and final game, because we saw yesterday literally points differentiating who goes to the grand finals and who doesn't. Game number 3 is ready, so let's just jump right into it.
All right, game 3 now is kicking off here. So what have we seen so far? A lot of endgame action, big teams, of course, popping up and showing up when it matters most. But to drive that story about consistency, you have to win your drop spot first. And this is where you still have a chance to turn things around, right? Game 1, game 2 are out the window. But if you do well in 3 like solid games back to back, you can still be in the conversation. Talk about that Frigid Fortress that opens up after Yamzo's victory there. Take a look at this. You even have the likes of Paper and Resi landing here, really getting desperate, I see.
Yeah, almost everybody that's landing here at Frigid Fortress now chose to stray away from a contested fight. Lo and behold, it becomes triple contested. Worse situation than it was before. A fight over towards 4 fields. Proxy, Kenya versus Faya and Kiffy. Early lead already going down, and Kenya is going to be the first one dropped. 2v1 situation, but Kiffy makes the play by himself, saving the day. And it's much quicker this game than every other game so far, negating any possibility of a third party sneaking up on you.
Yeah, it's only gotten faster so far, and I think they recognized that last game. I called it. I was talking about how passive they were and kind of taking that initial engagement. It seems like they've learned, but look at this, Peterbot Boya. What are you guys up to? What are you doing here?
We're playing musical chairs right now because I don't see Clicks and Higgs anywhere in Wonky Land. Peterbot, Poyo, we kind of all knew some sense of this might go on. There's like, I don't know if it's a personal beef, in-game beef between Peterbot and Clicks, but the 2 biggest names in Fortnite right now constantly going head-to-head. Peterbot and Poyo looking to contest their drop, but guess who has a 9,000 IQ? Higgs and Clicks making the call, say, hey, this might be the game. They go over and steal the Squibbly Shorts drop spot to make sure that they are uncontested.
There's no way they can read them that well, though, right? Like, Peterbot and Boyer surely can't be that predictable that Clicks and Higgs are just, you know, that far ahead of them mentally when it comes down to the strategy.
Going off by previous heats, I think it was around like 145 or so, the points kind of get towards if you're looking to make it in through consistency. Clicks and Higgs about 30 points away. That's like a top 10 in this game, and they'll be sitting safe for the rest of the tournament, or at least you'd think so. But how this game goes, they have to change up their strategy, whole different drop. They're going to prioritize rotating in, not even necessarily looting their POI. And they're probably in the back of their mind, they think Peterbot and Poyo knows we're not at Wonky Land. They're probably going to be the next place they think, which would be Squibbly Shorts. Crazy and Booga remain uncontested, but this time around, the Battlewood Boulevard gets a little bit of a boost. You get an extra % chance of the rare chest dropping and a little bit more gold. So for Booga and Craze, they might be eating good this game.
Yeah, most definitely. We've already seen them pretty well positioned. I mean, last game they had somewhat of an issue with Surge, but that was the later half of the end game, not necessarily early on. Finding their success in the fights. We've talked about successful battles. Of course, Ozone and Golden we saw there, getting their hands a little dirty in that end game too, before falling around zone 7 or so, but what's happening here? Good fight. Cynics is in the box. He's going to go ahead and clutch this one out, win his ones, and just like that, Painted Palms is now theirs, but there's another team or 2 watching what's happening as Tragic lurks up into the box.
I feel like this game moving at a much quicker pace. You said to yourself, two other teams, Tragic thought they were the only ones lurking over in that direction. Well, they get a surprise for sure as Tragic gets down, trying to shockwave away. Vibes is there along with Cynics. They definitely turned the tables in an instant. They had no idea how many teams were there, but now it looks like they have a huge advantage trying to clean up that elimination. Grab the body first, make sure they're able to get every scrap of the loot from this.
See it from the other POV here. Yup, that's the quick elim right there. I was a little confused why he shockwaved out the way he did, knowing that you just gave away your position to the team that you was on top of. But they're gonna be regretting that now. They didn't actually get the second teammate though, right? So he's still up.
Yeah, he kind of got saved though, because once that third party comes in, it kind of slows things down. That's percent on the side, but then they're flanked there for a moment. Percent barely surviving a whole nother duo, and it's just like, how long can you deal with pressure just like this? He's already at a reboot van, but it's so crowded. You almost got to continue going towards the north, towards the outside of the zone, and hopefully these guys get bored here and rotate in, because I'm not sure how many other reboots are near this location.
Yeah, I like how Carbone and Noah are like, oh, perfect, we're going to be lurking this fight. Nope, there were two teams and the solo already doing the same exact thing, so just a lot happening there. Aviv tingling right now, back on the studios, just capping out material here, so see him farming this scaffolding for all the metal. Loadout's going to be very strong. We haven't seen too much of a big performance them, you know, just yet in the end game. Clicks and Higgs, though, adopting, again, a new strategy, if you will. Obviously mixing things up right now to avoid the pursuit of Peterbot and Pollo. They're going to have to find a fight, right? They're going to need to find some new damage here.
Yeah, typically you can kind of wait for Wonky Land. We saw in that last game, they were able to get the jump on Oliver OG and Carillion, waiting for them at the top of the mountain. This time around, they haven't had much practice or reps landing at this spot in a set lobby and having to rotate elsewhere to try to get damage. They did get, I believe, a pump or two in there, but they're just happy with what they got as they rotate on out. You can see the edge of the zone, so it's already pulling towards the north, a little bit towards the center. Sandy Strip just on the edge. This is where Power, Penta, they land and kind of hover over here on this side of the map, and they have the luxury as well. That blob, you're able to use that with the shockwave to cover distance quickly.
I like to add, it said no mercy, no decaf. It's hilarious. Something with Gold's little high ground base here. And heading through the cones to look around. Not a player in sight though. Just went off to the outskirts. Might even be his teammate there. Madden, yep, that is Madden on the outside, just trying to cap material right now.
I have to imagine for Surge, this has got to be a little bit of a better game for them, because they went from Josh and Yamzo at Frigid Fortress by themselves, and then they went to nobody really beating there, and then they went to a triple contested fight, so there's a lot of chances for them to try to get some Storm Surge with the way the map has changed up in each and every passing game. But we go back on over to this side of the map. Tragic, you see him in the background. He is rebooted, back on, ready to go. And we have another team, Aiden and Waffle. Typically, they would go towards 4 fields to get their early Storm Surge damage. Back-to-back games, they've third-partied it. But this time around, that fight ended so quick, they have to look elsewhere for their Surge.
Doing a good job so far. I'm walking up here, but spending a lot of time in the storm here for Yuki and Carlitos. They're going to have to back off and heal here shortly. I'll jump into with Vlex. Haven't seen too much of him in the evening. So he's in a storm, skating around the outside as well.
I know it's still early. We still got this game to play out. We got game 4 and game 5, but again, the point threshold is around 63 points in terms of consistency. Light and Vlex, they're about 20 points ahead of the curve. So as long as they honestly continue to have not even necessarily the best, they don't even need first, second, third places. They just need to remain consistently in the top 8 to hold on to their spot. Definitely making it sound easier than it actually is, especially from what we witnessed not only today but throughout the weekend so far. We jump on over to Dozier and Ishu. 6 games in the play-ins, the most of any team, and that's impressive. I know it's kind of like a different feel playing through opens than in a set lobby, but even the best of the best don't usually get 6 wins. It goes to show that they're practicing the blueprint, probably playing for high elim and high ground games.
Thinking about yesterday's point cutoff as well, right? Remember how many teams at 175 points? And when you look at the overall lobby stats and you compare it to this Heat lobby here, the set lobby, I mean, they're not too far off. So although the cutoff here is around the 60 range, that can change. That number can change really quickly, right? Depending on how the points begin to spread out and kind of funnel up towards the top here.
Part of that is depending on, like, if you're in game 3, game 4, top of the leaderboard, win a game, you essentially move that entire leaderboard up just a little bit, and giving the other teams a little bit of cushion. But the zone continues to pull towards the north side of the map, and this is where, hey, you might have made a decision to triple contest the fridge. You were able to get a loadout plus materials and maybe some heals. You're likely positioned pretty well right now, so it might be a decision that works out for you in the end. As you go back on over to Light and Flex, they do pick up an elimination here. Get a little bit of extra resources, but zone pulling away, which means they're on a clock here to figure out when and where they're going to start to rotate towards the zone.
Carlito's team, remember, they were the one that we saw really low on HP. They the first to disengage from the lurk. And they had some heals to work with, but it seems like they spent a little too much time in the storm and they got caught out. Light and Flex there. Aviv and King here finding a couple elims when we looked away for a moment there. Make that 4 actually now. Sus Studios bringing the action here. Must have been teams coming for these vending machines or something nearby because they are swimming in loot right now.
Extra med kits, big pots. How did they get so much gold? Well, they already have 3 elims. Yep, exactly what you said, Monster. Trying to visit that mending machine. No, there are so many on the map. This one is ours. That's what Aviv is putting down right now, making sure to cross anyone off their list that looks to go and move through Sus Studios. Sandy Strip just outside of the POI. Again, you can see a lot of players slow to rotate in this time around, and rightfully so. We see how chaotic the mid portions of the game are when you're actually inside of the zone. So a lot of these teams are trying to dodge any risk of taking damage.
See it though. Obviously using their chug jugs right now. Probably gonna end up leaving this one behind here, swapping for someone else. Hold up, Peterbot, Pollo in a bit of a fight right now. Pollo's definitely damaged, but he got the exchange here. He's got a knock. And Peterbot's stepping up to finish the deal. Just doing exactly what he needs to, just giving them a little bit of time to work with, and how's he still up? Just rolling in the box here, I'll never know.
His teammate already went down. Pollo pressuring from the bottom to try to make it a little bit easier for Peterbot to try to get that elimination shot off. But he realized, hey, this is Peter, this is Pollo, we can't stay in this position. I got a shockwave out if I have any hope of getting back into this game, and really did just catch him off guard. And that's been the thing we've seen from Peterbot and Pollo so far in some of their fights, is they do attack from 2 different sides, catching so many players off guard.
And that was with a third party shooting at him there too at the end. Somehow still managed to close it out, and that third party just thought twice after the Elam fell through for Curly and Oliver OG. Much better game for them after being eliminated early last game by Clicks and Higgs, but little drop spot between Peterbot and Pollo. Now Clicks and Higgs back here. Everything's ending and collapsing at the wonky land. It seems like we will likely get that engagement between the two. And who better than Clicks and Higgs to kind of play this end game out? But Peterbot and Pollo have already showed us that they know the strategies here. They know just as how to play this just as well, if you will.
Just outside of the Ferris wheel. Probably one of the highest positioned teams as of now. The mountain truly hasn't opened up on the north side of the zone. 5 above the damage threshold. Honestly, I don't think in terms of where they're at now in comparison to every other game they've landed wonky land, I don't think it's just too different. They're at their POI, they're above the damage threshold, they have a decent loadout. So it's almost looking like business as usual at this point in time for Clicks and Higgs. Madden and Cole really taking advantage of the zone. while other teams qualified out of Frigid Fortress, the mountain towards the north, Poland Madden has been a staple on that side of the map, and they're quickly putting it to use, rotating quickly towards Wonky Land. They're not necessarily attaching themselves to that top mountain because the majority of the lobby does believe that it is going to pull towards the south instead of towards the north.
Yeah, this is just all intuition now, right? All speculation, if you will. We don't know where the zone's going to go. It's going to go north. So those that made the decision to play up there a little sooner instead of later going to get rewarded here now. Crazy and Buga, though, get spotted out by Peterbot Boyo. The edit open there, and they immediately get punished for it. Surge is active here, giving the lobby the warning now. How far they need to go. Peterbot Boyo have the luxury to move late here, and they could even use the boosted rotate if they really want to try to take some clean, high positioning. We'll see what they end up doing. It's a risk either way. Flurry on the other side, though, under some serious pressure below the surge. Damage coming through. Shots from the left and right sides. It's going to be Bobby who picks up the quick elim there, putting them at 2.
Good even for them, because it's not necessarily the 3. Russian Dreams all weekend long was 400 above. You can see the strikes of lightning going off in the distance for players that might not have that same luxury, that same feeling of comfortability. Clicks and Higgs, they're 200 above, instantly position themselves in towards zone. Now they're looking back of every other team that either has to rotate in by foot or really taking advantage of those shockwaves being used. Waffle Joe taking the brunt force of that damage and focus overall. And this is where it's going to really start to get interesting, because if we pull anywhere else but the eastern side from here on out, we are good, Monster. If we pull towards the east on top of that mountain, you better buckle in, because it's going to be a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah, definitely. This one gets really steep here. For Higgs, I'm looking at his ammo count, though. It is not looking too good, man. They are starting to gas out early here. And that's what happens when you don't have your usual draw spot. You're trying to avoid Peterbot Boyo for what it's worth. Meanwhile, Waffle, though, lost his teammate 480 below. It doesn't get worse than this. He is the lowest on the standings. But hey, the lobby gets to breathe here, Jacob. It doesn't go east. It's going to come back south, right back into old builds.
Yeah, and depending on kind of how he plays this, there will be other teams trying to rotate first, beat him to the punch. 2 full eliminations. He tries to approach onto one, but gets flanked by a whole nother team. Down he goes, outside of placement, leaving it to the last 2 games of the day to try to pick up either a win or enough points to make it in through consistency. Peterbot and Boyo quickly rotating on over. Necessarily haven't had too many big warriors in this match, but I don't know if they know that Tiggs or not, but they're ready to drop on top. Boyo ends up into the box. Big shots to be fired, but both of them being dropped down low to just a little bit of HP. Peterbot and Higgs need their teammates to alleviate the pressure, and that's exactly what Boyo's trying to do. Click's doing the same thing on the other side, and for now, the dust is settling. Both teams will live to tell the tale, since they still have to rotate towards the south into the next zone.
You got to give respect, though. Excellent ambush. Peterbot, I mean, Higgs' reaction was so fast, it'll block out Peterbot just in time and actually make it a 2v1, and then a 1-to-1 head-to-head while, you know, the teams were kind of going back and forth. Tit for tat there in the engagement. That could have gone either way for both sides because it did not go as planned. But there you have it. That's what a high-level engagement looks like, right? When the 2 best of the best go toe-to-toe, you can see it is dangerous times here, and it costs you a lot. Boyo and Peterbot had already committed so much to, you know, bounce up to the high ground, make this strong structured base, and then play for a refresh right there. And for it to not go in their favor, now look, they're forced to low ground, trying to fight a different team, right? Because they are actually desperate now for a refresh.
Yeah, they're running out of builds, especially the way they play. They go crazy, grabbing every single piece. That's why they're trying to break into the box. Someone just trying to run away further and further, but they're quick to hot on the heel. The fact that nobody has even shot in their direction yet is huge, as they finally pick up that elimination onto Joe. Almost 400 above the damage threshold, but again, still, in comparison to probably where they want to be, they don't have a ton of materials, but it's rotating towards the south, back on over towards Wonky Land. They can go right back up to the high ground and try to solidify it as their own.
We were just talking about Aviv and King and managed to really get their groove going, kind of play into an endgame, and finally they're here, kind of situated now. But look at this, Peterbot, Higgs, Pollo, all going back to back now, clashing once again here for the high ground, but Higgs forced to concede it to give it up. But Peterbot's got his number. He's pressuring down. They want to get this finish. They want that fight. But Booga and Craze are also here in the conversation. They're going to be the last one standing up top. And I don't even think they realize they're the team on high ground, right? All this action happening here. You see, you know, players chasing one another. It's only now they start to recognize, I think, that they're the team on top.
Yeah, I just got to be careful. I think they're being very, very cautious of the shockblades, of the Fizz. That can turn the tables in a moment's notice, especially if you get caught off guard. But Higgs and Clicks, they survive multiple onslaughts from multiple teams. Here comes another one as Higgs gets dropped down to less than 40 HP, trying to go ahead and maneuver around, waiting for Clicks and him to reunite, but it's not slowing down or stopping just yet. Peterbot and Pollo strike again. Down goes Clicks. Higgs is trying to survive, quickly gets on out, but he's burning through his materials. No extra heals. He's forced in another solo clutch position.
It's crazy. I'm just trying to think to myself, how do they keep on finding Higgs and Peterbot, right? Like, it's just like they have their number on them. Peterbot, Pollo, though, bouncing right back in. Yes, sure, they might be low on material, but they're back to being healthy, and this is where they're hunting right now. And the amount of, you know, again, speed of which they're pushing through these players' boxes, they're not giving anyone a chance. They get another one now, and look at the momentum starting to surge in their favor. Now Peterbot has some mats to work with. Make it a little bit more as they catch another team on the outskirts.
Peterbot doing Peterbot things here, just taking names and just sending them right back to the lobby. You see them have interest, looking up for a moment, but they decide against it, continuously dropping down below. Higgs stuck by himself, but he's still figuring out a way to make it work. But now he's digging into the HP with the zone overtaking him, forced to fly forward. 2 builds left. Clicks, Higgs, they both need a miracle here if they're looking to continue to perform in this game, but he's going from miss to miss, hiding in the shadows until he's finally found out.
Yeah, but I'm looking at this outskirts now. You have Noxy here depending or deciding if he wants to possibly play for something big. Meanwhile, Golden and Ozone actually make a play for the high ground. It's going off that terrain, so it's actually a really weird one to play with, but the end of time. Peterbot gets knocked there in the side, and it's up to Pollo once again. Pollo has just been playing absurdly well today. He has been clutching up. You know, if you counted him out before, usually it's Peterbot we've talked about year in, year out, who puts on these solo performances. But now it's Pollo here today, who is just playing the best that we have ever seen, and it's only a Heats lobby.
Yeah, it's just going absolutely crazy. A teaser of what we could see, because over 200 points, Monster. Even in the highest heat, they surpass that. He does it yet again, clearing the bottom half of the lobby. It's almost smooth sailing for Golden and Ozone up above, but now one's going to drop, looking to play Disruptor. But you have to be careful. We've seen Siphon play a huge role in players losing heal off throughout the weekend. They cannot make that mistake. Booga and Craze out of build, but Booga gets an elimination. Siphon Matt's keeping him alive. The Siphon as well, making sure the HP stays relatively healthy for this next play. The only solo in the game, and he makes a play onto Ozone and Golden. The full chop is in, but he finally goes down, but he dealt so much damage to this lobby.
That might have been what Golden needed right there. A little refresh to go in and keep him in the game. Cole tries to go. Madden doesn't have health, and Ozone and Golden secure the victory royale there, Jacob.
Yeah, it was looking scary for a moment with Booga going up, cracks the shields, almost drops Ozone down by himself, but he finally gets beat up. Golden and Ozone clutch up the game to advance to finals. Zeke, Kelly, Vivid, what do you think of that?
It just gets more chaotic every time, doesn't it, Jacob? Every single time, I feel like, oh, it's going to be just a nice, chill, calm game. Nope. Every single time. Shoutouts to Golden and Ozone there. They had hype. And, you know, thanks to Booga playing spoiler, running around, suddenly the tempo gets shifted. And on the other side, Golden and Ozone, as long as they're like, hey, we got hype, right, Kelly? We got height up here. We can walk away with a win.
I mean, if you're able to hold down height, especially once you hit zone 11 and no one else is really looking up at you, you're pretty much a shoo-in to either get a top 5, if not the victory royale. And it looked like Ozone and Golden knew exactly what they needed to do in that situation. They saw just how chaotic the mid and low ground was. And so for them, it was all about just playing the high ground as standard as you can, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of chops that came in. But no problem, and Jacob kind of mentioned it, man. I was a little worried. Booga running around. It's like, man, if he only had like 10 more builds, how much more damage could he have dealt? But yeah, incredible run there for Golden and Ozone. Another one of those games where, yeah, I did mention that a couple of chops came in this later zone, right? Very, very late into the 11th zone and early in the 12th zone. But prior to that, it looks like they were kind of just chilling, right? Playing that spray roll where you're trying to relieve the lobby of all of the materials so that way you can go ahead and win some of these final engagements. But booking their ticket to finals from the high ground.
That's what I'm telling you. Kelly called it out. High ground. That's what we got to look, pay attention to, chop them out, or maybe we go up there ourselves. I don't know. Now, we do only have 2 games left to go. When we return after this short break, we'll take a look at the standings, set ourselves up for game number 4. So, we'll be right back. Welcome back, Fortnite fam. 2 games left to go here in the Heat 3 of the FNCS. Let's get right into it. Let's take a look at them standings. Let's kind of see how things are going. If you're tuning in, welcome. We've got 2 more games to go. Before we wrap things up on the day, we want either a victory royale or to end the day in the top 10 in consistency, which basically is going to be looking at the top 15 on this leaderboard after all is said and done. Right now, though they've not gotten themselves a victory royale, though we've been in a situation where Pollo has been solo 3 games in a row, Kelly, they're still in first place by a lot.
I do want to remind everyone that yesterday during P2, Curve and Venno had the most eliminations out of the North American heats, and that was with 39 eliminations. So to see Peterbot and Pollo 3 out of 5 games played, barely about to hit that as well, shows just how aggressive, how insane insane this duo is. And you called it out, Zeke. Pollo has been a solo for majority of the 3 games, especially in the end games that we have seen. So for Pollo, you know, the player that PewDieBot quote-unquote carries all the time, to be the one carrying it in the heats, I just love to see it, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, we can pretty much expect this out of the duo. Just the eliminations being racked up right now, and yeah, you know, we're so used to seeing the PewDieBot solo clutches. We're getting the opposite side of the coin today. Pollo is putting on an absolute show. I would not be surprised though if we saw some crazy PewDieBot stuff go down in the next 2 games, and they got to be feeling pretty good already over on socials. I mean, we know what the thresholds have been kind of looking like. Jacob kind of called it out earlier, thinking heat number 1 we were around like 140. Heat number 2 was a little bit crazy, jumped up a little bit higher than that, but sitting at 214 points, they feel pretty comfortable that they are already qualified, because I see PewDieBot is already talking about where he is going to land in grands on social media, and I gotta tell you, a little spicy because it says wonky in grands, but that's a whole different story for next weekend. We got a bunch more teams that's up to clinch their ticket to grand finals today.
Okay, I like it. More on that next week. Why don't we focus in on Clicks and Higgs right now? You know, these guys currently in 3rd place, right, in terms of the consistency situation. And based off of those numbers that you said and Jacob called out, I feel like, you know, just a few more games should put them very comfortably in. But, you know, it's interesting. I feel like we've seen them in these kind of, sometimes they're on height and things are going really well. Sometimes we've got Higgs solo running around, you know. I wonder how much of their dynamic is being, like, influenced by PewDieBot and Pollo. Like, how much do you guys feel like, are they just doing their own thing? Are they kind of like in the back of their minds, like, is PewDieBot and Pollo kind of close by? Are they like, is my PewDieBot tingle sensation happening? Like, what's going on? PewDieBot senses.
Sure. No, it's the PewDieBot tingle sensation. That is what you've coined it as forever, Zeke. For Clicks and Higgs, if you look back at how early those clips were, the EBS, they were around zone 9, zone 10, and they had only a handful of builds there. So I think there is definitely some issues going on with their early and mid game. Maybe it's even just the in-game rotations where they're having to build a lot. We know that Clicks and Higgs love to run the low ground. They love to be at the front of low ground and kind of build out a lot of territory for themselves. So I think just having this lack of materials is kind of affecting them for that ultimate in-game like win strategy. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for them, Vivid.
Well, I mean, fine, Zeke. We'll go ahead and talk about it just a little bit more. Okay, just a little bit. You're kind of talking about, oh, you know, are they thinking about PewDieBot and Pollo? Well, they probably are thinking about PewDieBot and Pollo because they literally stole Clicks and Higgs' drop spot in that game, right? PewDieBot and Pollo, they landed wonky and forced Clicks and Higgs to kind of swerve off and land elsewhere. So not only are they thinking about them, they're literally being directly affected by them in the early game. But speaking about like the end game, no, I don't really think that they should be thinking about them because we kind of talked about it multiple times today. Clicks and Higgs looks like they want to be playing for the high ground, but we haven't even seen PewDieBot and Pollo up on height today at all. They've been going for elimination. So Clicks and Higgs should be able to fulfill their game plan if they can get there in a stable enough position.
I don't know why you just invoked that. I don't know why you just invoked. 2 games left to go. Let's see it. Another player going crazy. It's Bugha. It's crazy. Bugha has now been put in a few solo situations. And in that last game, solo clutches a 3rd place. Yo, I'm loving seeing Bugha back.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at his history right now, 10th, 18th, and 3rd out of 3 games that we have played, that just shows to me that he is making it into the end game, and then he's also making these little micro adjustments that we love to see from our top players. Because in a heats competition, the meta definitely varies from what we're usually seeing in a set lobby. So for Bugha to be able to kind of see that, read that, and then be able to come out with a strategy onto how to utilize that, I love to see that.
I gotta tell you, I was kind of expecting this duo to have a little bit more in the eliminations category. Every time we kind of tune into them, yeah, it does kind of seem like they are falling a little bit short in terms of being able to stay alive healthy as a duo right now, so that does kind of... talked about it. We're supposed to have Fuga, the well-vetted, experienced IGL here, kind of leading Craze to those eliminations. I want to see Craze get a little bit more active, right? I want to see him box to box, wall to wall, finding those eliminations.
Okay, well, 2 games left to go. That's what we're hoping to see. That being said, MDF Jacob, over to you.
These are going to be 2, I feel like, of the greatest games we're going to see on the weekend so far. Everybody's still in the hunt to claim at least one of those consistency spots or one of those last 2 wins.
Yeah, and the only team that's really safe right now is Peterbot and Pollo. 214 points. They surely are in. So let's see what happens here as game number 4 is ready.
As it stands right now, that point threshold is 103 points. We talk and look back at each one, each 2, and it's almost drastically different, almost a top 8 placing of different in terms of placings to get in that last spot. But as another team qualifies out, another spot has opened up, and it was an uncontested spot as well. It was the north side of Battlewood Boulevard that Golden and Ozone were landing at. So either Booga and Craze got a lot of loot to themselves, or they got some newcomers dropping nearby.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking that, you know, because Preston was kind of in the vicinity, I mean, it might just be easier for those other teams there, but again, Booga and Craze have played relatively well, right? When they make it to that end game, I'm sure that 3rd place finish right there is going to be another surge in confidence for them. Go ahead and just stick to the game plan and try to do that again.
Sport Fields fight. This Fort Fields fight has more impact than just the 2 actual teams landing there. As we know, Aiden, Waffle Joe, and another team towards the south eventually rotate up, and that's how they get their early game surge. Last game, this fight ended so quick, nobody was able to try to make that play, but Kiffy, Tenya, they're going at it, but Tenya's gonna be the first one going down. Feo with the cross. So even though he landed relatively far away, he's still impacting the fight tenfold.
I was gonna say, and you saw Waffle Joe land a lot closer this time too. Like, they landed at the southern portion. They're probably trying to see if they can actually make a quick move here, but Tenya gets finished off there, just the time. Proxy's gonna try to break out the back. Kiffy, though, just waiting. Nothing, unfortunately, evolves from that. And if they have learned anything, at least from game number 2, is that they gotta finish this fast. This game's already starting to slip away from them.
Unfortunate for Proxy down below, because that team's up above and on the outside. He has very, very limited options. He tries to rotate out towards the north. He runs into Aiden and Waffle. A couple of shots are going to land from them. He tries to shockwave again, but that's when the elimination does get cleaned up. So Aiden and Waffle, realizing, hey, this fight might have stalled out this game, quickly rotates on over. Bobby is here, along with his duo, trying to third party as well. And this is what we've seen throughout the day overall on this side of the map. Teams just third partying and crashing to try to get surge or elimination points.
You see Mar and Bobby, because of those shots flew over Aiden's head, they were like, oh, wait a second, there's actually a team behind us. So they box up immediately, jumping in with Higgs and Click style, using the fist to actually break into the box there. It's kind of crazy, at least from the outside looking in, but here comes the upgrades. At least gets us up a little shotgun, not the best, but something to work with. Just look from Higgs' perspective on how it all went down. He just keyed right in to the action here. Oh, he actually lands it and gets the knock. Wow.
You can see no shotgun in his inventory, so
crazy.
Great heads-up play right out of the gates. And, yo, Vivid kept his ear to the streets. He's the one that said, yo, without even winning a game, 214 points. Peterbot Pollo say, yo, Wonky Land is now ours. And I thought, you know, I was hearing, hey, if you want some, come get some from Clicks and Higgs and Blood X. And Peterbot Pollo, they say, hey, we want some, but there's nothing to get over here because they disengage, they switch drop spots, and already Clicks and Higgs getting aggressive. So they're using this time here with these last 2 games, or even third if you count the last game as well, to try to get as much practice in a finals lobby as possible.
Like what Peterbot and Boyo do, though, right? This is all mind games, really. It's just telling them, hey, even if you get to finals, think about this. You're taking your draw. All right, it's just one extra thing to have to worry about as far as prep goes, even leading into it. Make all the difference. Google crazy. Team's starting to encroach in on the territory, but again, plenty of space to play with. Even more space now to the north. After, of course, Ozone's team wins. Back on over to Aiden and Waffle Joe, though. They end up disengaging, abandoning the fight after finding the proxy Elim and then rotating into the contested side of Moxie's side. Look, there's other players here too.
Yeah, they're lurking on a team that's lurking on painted palms. Just gotta hope they don't get spotted out. Vibes. Cynics, they do have the high ground, so as long as they have a 360-degree view and head on their shoulders, that'll be all right. As Peterbot Pollo make their way on over towards Squibbly Shorts, probably thinking they were going to find Clicks and Higgs, but they already made their way on out, so they're finding a whole nother team. That's Snappy on the other side, but he gets did up like a sit-up, put down, sent back to the lobby. His teammate was able to disengage and get out, and there's a lot of space over on that side of the map because there is split drop for teams have to go ahead and use their routes to get their loot, and Wonky land uncontested.
This one-for-one exchange here. Real tries to hit the tag, doesn't quite find it, but into the box. Clean execution from Zero PC Earnings, trying to work his way towards the finals here. They're gonna need a win.
Yeah, it's a situation where you do need a win, like you said, but his fight's just like this. His teammate's down. He's in a 1v1 situation, and he's just full confidence. Even without an iron pump or a chaos reloader, full confidence to jump in the box and take the 50-50.
Just sent it. Gotta respect it. Thinking of Eve, great last game, right? Putting them in the race now. Into the top 10 they go. 110 points earned here. All off the performance of that last round. We're curious to see how Kingling and Aviv perform if they can make it to endgame. They seem to have what it takes, but it's getting there that's been difficult. If they can continue to adjust their mid-game strategies to play stronger and stronger. Seek and Taki are doing the same exact thing. They've also been very much in the conversation on the high ground from time to time, coming super close to pulling out a victory so far here.
Playing pretty well so far, 122 points so far. You see them there 7th so far on the leaderboard, and that's even more higher up because remember, those teams that do got the win, they get the 1,000 points and automatically advance. So they're just one good game away, honestly, maybe even a top 10 away from punching their ticket into the grand finals. Others got much more to go, many more points to go ahead and grab, but honestly, 2 5th places are even with a bunch of elims could possibly qualify you, but I'm not sure too many players are going to be up for that challenge, but Bobby does find his first elimination there, and it looks like they're looking to chase down Preston for the second.
It seems like they're playing off the momentum right now after finding those other early fights and eliminations. It's looking pretty good. Great side angle there from Mar. They're finishing that one up. T just listening to what's going on here with Turbulence. They're slowly walking up here, trying to see if they can play for a lurk right now. Like the strategy, like the play. Obviously, Bobby and crew they just have their guard down, right? Not sure if I like the 3-2-1 there. It wasn't exactly the opener they were looking for, and now they just give it up, so it's kind of stuck here.
Yeah, accidentally shooting at 2 different targets. Both of them did get damage. Just on 2 different players, and they would pinpoint the exact target. Possibly could have been down if they chose wisely, but they're gonna have to look for some HP. We only saw one of those 2 loadouts. We saw no bandages, no med kit, or pizza in that inventory. So if they're looking to stay alive, they need to be on the hunt for the bare minimum here. You see the zone this time around in the minimap moving on over towards the north side. Wonky Land even being a primary focus. You see Jack and Npen. 48 points so far, not where you would expect a team like this to be, especially with, you know, what's going on around Frigid Fortress, uncontested, nobody landing there, then triple contested. Zone pulling their way this time. Even without a win, if they somehow land a top 5 with a couple of elims, they'll at least put themselves in contention for a consistency spot in Game 6 or 5.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're 50 points in right now, you definitely have a chance, for sure, if you pop off. So I started looking over here. I was trying to piece together what all happened.
Any guesses? Full shield Pollo, any guesses?
Little bounce off here. Unfortunately missed his drop. Probably landed just like this and then fell off.
Let's see. We get to see what actually happened. Okay.
Hey, people watch this.
See, at least they're human. At least they're human, because sometimes I feel like Maybe they're just inside of the Matrix or something. They're a part of Fortnite, you know, but at least it goes to show that even they can make mistakes in certain moments. Look at Seek's loadout here. You got Taki with the Chaos and the Thunderburst, but then you got Seek with just an AR, no shotgun. They're planning on rotating in, grabbing high ground, and hopefully playing for damage in the distance.
Let's continue to look at a couple elims that are happening here. This is another storm fight for Taki and Seek. That's how it ends up playing out. And although we were criticizing the loadout, it looks like it's working because they find elimination. That's probably why he just decided to max out on the extra heals to go the distance and play the dead side. They might be feeling really confident about how much damage they've done.
Is there an Ishu rotating in? This time around, all they have to do is just kind of move north. They get Dark Dominion uncontested. They haven't had to move at all so far during this game. Maxed up on materials. They have some extra heals down the road before they start to make that rotation. And since they have this bird's eye view, they can start to gather that information, figure out how many teams are rotating by them, where those teams are rotating, so that way they can make their rotation accordingly. Because shockwaving off high ground right here, you can cover distance far.
Ah, that's what they were doing. Okay, okay.
Is he spelling his name,
Yes.
Poyo?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. I was curious. Now it's all starting to make sense. That's an A. Yeah, at this point, I actually don't know what he's spelling. I'm not sure. I want to know. It's just...
Oh, their initials. Peterbot and Poyo. Their Ferris wheel. That's a lot of confidence, man. 217 points. They already qualled. Said the only one using this wonky wheel is going to be Peterbot and Poyo.
Starting the last game, they're already loosening up here. Just making a statement. Again, mind games, like we talked about. It's all mind games at this point.
That's true. I always talk about how important it is having a strong mental game in these tournaments. Because whether if it's 5 games or 6 or even 12 in the grand finals, you got to know that nothing is going to go perfect. There's going to be speed bumps along the road in your journey, so you got to be able to bounce back from that. And mental composure is just as big as anything else. You don't want to have to shut down midway through the tournament. So we'll be looking at that to see how teams perform at the start of some days and how they finished at the end of others. Is Chimp and Liam. They're one of the teams that I always talk about. You know, we talk about the Ferris wheel, we talk about the rifts, Latte Landing. I mentioned it, I believe, yesterday. I mentioned it again. It has one launch pad back here that they're using, and it's different than the majority of every other launch pad on the map because it takes you higher and it takes you further as a standard launch pad itself. Now, Monster, combine that with a Shockwave, combine that with a Flowberry Fizz, and that's what allowing Liam and Chimp here to rotate all the way in toward the zone. And we got a mountain one this time around and strayed away from it in that last game. So for Liam, they're going to get priority position in this zone.
It's coming all back to this north side. These mountainous terrains definitely get difficult. The 50-50's already playing this up, so whoever's here early surely is going to have the advantage. Paper and Resi playing a little bit more of a defensive, kind of low position here. Not trying to risk too much on the high ground. They don't want to attract too much attention, but it seems like they do have to fish for some damage here. And it's inevitable. There's going to be plenty more teams starting to come this way.
Paper and Resi. Paper is one of those players back-to-back with Victor V and then with Epic Well and Victor V. 2 different globals he was able to attend. He can make it a third by qualifying for final, done the Summit Land. And eventually globals from there. Speederbot and Koyo looking to put pressure on Chance and Tyler. They're already 400 above, and that one definitely turned sideways. Speederbot takes a huge punch to the face, but Chance and Tyler both go down. It's Koyo again. I'm not sure we've ever really given MVPs for a day. I know we did it yesterday or before, but Poyo has to be the MVP of the day.
He is. I'm telling you, we're watching him play at the best he really has. Like, truly, he's showcasing why he is who he is, you know, and why the region continues to give him his flowers, you know. It's not a game, you know. I know they're in here messing around, building and all that, having fun, but they're just showing you sometimes it really does look like they're miles ahead of the competition.
Praise right there on the line when it comes to zone, trying to put pressure onto Oliver and Carillion up above. They don't have far to rotate, but that high ground is a team that you aren't going to have to worry about. But they look down. They see Peterbot and Pollo again. Much pressure coming out from this side of the map. The other teams rotated here, Mike and Logan, trying to use the Fizz Shockwave to cover distance. Luckily for them, Oliver and Carillion were busy. They were distracted, so they weren't able to get any damage on them rotating through the sky.
Just looking at the situation at hand here, they are going to have to move here. See how it ends up kind of playing out for them here. Enpen actually gets, credit, possibly, for an elimination there too while this is all happening. Oliver Ojito trying to open up some sight lines, but nothing just yet. Take a look at the wider image. You see Moxie still alive here in this endgame. Noah Plays here to the left. Paper's team still in the running right now. Again, these are the big performances you will have to pull out if you want to get back into the race here for consistency. So Resi and Paper do have a chance. You know what's really cool about this endgame too, though, Jacob, is that if you play it right, the terrain is so crazy, you can actually win even if you don't, haven't been playing very well today. Like, this can really go any way, and sometimes RNG like this can be very favorable for you.
Yeah, I know Kelly, Vivid, Zeke, they were talking about it a little bit, about teams not necessarily looking up towards high ground in the fashion that I feel like all of us can agree we thought would happen. And so exactly what you're saying, this could be one of those zones to where a team near the bottom of the leaderboard, halfway up the leaderboard, can surprise, get high ground, and clutch out and steal a win away. But still, there's so much action going down when we get to this. King with 5 eliminations so far in this game, and King, rightfully so, is getting his moments in the spotlight. He just needs to cap it off with a spot in finals.
It's kind of crazy to see Peterbot and Pollo have tanked so much Storm, and they have the pizza, but they've gone through it all, and it did not pay off. Unfortunately, they couldn't get that follow-up refresh for elimination, but they still have a miss to play with here. Still being a little hesitant, and of course relying on the Siphon instead here. Peterbot's going to be able to at least heal up off of that. He wants to push for the finish here. It's going to be on to Moxie.
Doesn't matter who it is that's in his path. He wants to get that elimination. Like you said, Moxie goes down. Wolf is going to be stuck by himself. There's just thunder bursting into the box, giving him really no time to react as a solo. Just infinite spray going in. See, it's going a little bit off of this mountain, away from it. More even terrain. I wouldn't say it's flat by any means. You see different mountains and different ranges there in the distance, but it's not as drastic as it was in the north side of that last zone.
I just realized, too, people are playing with the click skin, just really putting the salt on the Booga in his icon fit. It's pretty solid. We've seen him compete in this one plenty of times, but get back to it. So Peterbot, Pollo, after the refresh now, have some high ground positioning. Peterbot or Paper and Resi here go from the mid layer of that mountain down to the low ground, almost forced near 33 below now, so couldn't quite capitalize on the chaos of the teams rotating from the outskirts. They didn't do enough damage. They've done enough to kind of be there, but now they're forced to fight here in the ultimate low. And this just opens up everything for Peterbot and Pollo. We were talking about this gift that the elevation of the Storm can play for you, right? The chaos. However, the experienced teams are also going to get gifted here because they'll play it best.
Yeah, they've already reconnected on multiple different surfaces, but can't expend too many mats. They're going to use the Shockwave, try to get to the front, and immediately build back on up. Trying to be quick, fast, and in a hurry so nobody Shockwaves and steals it away. King of Beeve there in the front side of the zone. Paper trying to position the front side of the zone. These are all threats to the high ground, whether they have intentions or not.
See it. 40 players now, so we're right at the cutoff here. We're back in the safe zone here. This is a big game for Paper. This is the type of fight that they need. How many points Noah Blaze's team managed to earn so far as well. This might be also their first real endgame here. A lot of teams starting to show up now in the back 2 games.
There's a good chunk of teams still here in this competition that can still get in through consistency. It might not necessarily be a top 20 in terms of points that they need here, maybe a top 8 or a top 5, but they still have a chance to not have to go into Game 6 needing a win. Oliver and Carillion are to start to pick up the pace. It's not just placing high in these games alone. They need to combine it with those eliminations, which is 3 points per. But they get to the front side of the zone. They realize opportunities will naturally come as the game progresses. But Bugha and Craze, they're quickly running out of mats. So they're now trying to be proactive to pick up elimination. Good amount of damage as teams rotating by, but nothing to get the actual elim, to get them the mats, the wall tested and taken out.
You know, I was curious. I was just about to say that Peterbot and Pollo might actually, in the end, concede the win in general, but I'm not sure they wanted to go out that soon and in that fashion. Penta just pops up out of nowhere, makes it happen. Bugha falls as well, and all of a sudden now, we don't know who's going to take this game right here. This can go anyway.
Yeah, Power Penta, though, they're in the driver's seat right now on the high ground. Nobody's really having a chance to look up. You see a so much chaos down low on the low ground. Going for more elims here, picking up the siphon mats. Aviv realizing, hey, I'm running out. The bare minimum is all I really have left. Noah Plays has some, but does not have his teammate. Carbone is going to go down, leaving Noah Plays no choice but to start his heal off early and hope to get a couple more placement points.
Noah Plays playing for that heal off. Top 10 now, so it is working. The placement points are starting to come through. Flex and Light. Flex barely holding on there. Oliver OG's in this end game as well. He's managed to go the distance with Carillion here, and they're at 80 points now, Jacob. Okay, so things are starting to get closer and closer now. The teams that needed to jump up and get into the top 8 are starting to do it. The teams that needed to break away and give themselves the cushion, the distance to be there are doing it as well. Aviv and King are 2 of those teams. Penta's team's another one. And Noah Plays is actually turning online here too as he finds his first healing in this end game.
Yeah, sometimes the first one's the hardest, but it's the most rewarding. The Siphon keeping him alive wasn't really able to pick up all the materials, so he's only down to 7. Somebody else watching him on the other side. King in a similar solo situation, but he's fresh out of build. No choice but to look back, and he gets at least 1. The match is what's most important because he's able to push himself going forward. 2 duos left in this game. 2 solos left in this game, and one of the duos is Oliver OG here, making a chop and a play for the high ground. He reconnects and solidifies it, but he lost Carillion along the way.
With 1 mat as well. Talk about having heart, talk about having confidence, but look at King. King's at 11 eliminations. He has been playing so well right now, but Oliver had too much time to heal. He's 200 HP. No mats though, and that's the difference for a pro here. Anything can go down in this toe-to-toe.
The way King has been playing, this is going to be a hard one to beat already with 11 eliminations. Oliver just trying to go ahead and create distance. He has a little bit of HP left. He's hoping and praying the Chug Jug is going to be enough, but Kingaling has so much time left on the zone. That was a mistake by Oliver OG. That King is going to capitalize on him, smiling ear to ear because he had just punched his ticket to the FNCS Grand Finals.
He did it in great fashion as well. 12 eliminations alongside Aviv. Lost Aviv in the top 10 and still managed to play that so well. I know Oliver's thinking to himself, why did I go back so soon? He would have been better, of course, taking the full-on fight. Well, in the end, Game 4 is now wrapped, Zeke.
Yo, I mean, you know what? We called them the big cheese of even the start of this show, and you know, these guys are losing their minds. A solo clutch, 12 elims from Kingling? What the heck is happening, Kelly?
Absolutely insane. We talked about it at the start of the show, these kind of veteran players finding these young bloods, these, fragging prowesses, and in him. Honestly, there was a moment there where Oliver OG went for high ground, lost Carillion, and that was just the opportunity for Kingaling. He sees someone that was sticking to the low ground, go for high ground. He probably realizes that they don't have that many mats, and this is his opportunity to go on the aggressive.
Yeah, Kingaling known for being that creative word, being very, very mechanical. So, like Kelly was mentioning, as soon as that 1v1 came around and I saw that Kingaling still had a couple of builds to work with, I didn't want to count Oliver out, but I was like, man, it was Kingaling just, placing all of the builds, making sure all of the control was his. and ends up cleaning it up very, very nicely. A 12 elimination game from King as an individual. This is not a team total. This is an individual count. I can almost guarantee we're going to see some of these highlights from this game in a video somewhere.
I know that we were looking at Veno's eliminations for how, like, the most eliminations we had from a single player, but as far as a single player in a single game goes, King of Ling might take the cake for NAC.
Oh my gosh, man. You know, that's the trick, right, Kelly? Is you just change, whatever your name is, just change it to King, and you'll just become royalty. You know, that's what I'm taking away from this. So you guys can now call me Zeke King. That's right. That's right. With that being said, though, we are going to go to a short break. When we come back, game number 5. One last opportunity to get a victory out or to end the day in the top 10. Don't go anywhere. You won't want to miss this final game. Stress. It's what I feel right now, getting ready for the last game out of heat number 3. We need a victory royale for it to end in the top 10 if we want to keep the FNCS dream alive, which means not taking it to the LCQ. We don't want to go there. Very difficult there. We need to qualify right here, right now. Let's take a look at the standings, okay? With only a single game left to go, we got to start kind of setting the stage of what could happen, who's on the edge of qualing. Like, there's so much to talk about. Obviously, Peterbot and Poyle, we'll start at the top real fast. This last game, you know, Kelly, Vivid, I think this is the first time officially we've ever seen a duo claim a drop spot live on broadcast.
Yeah, that is quite possible with Poyo and Peterbot changing up their drop spots in the middle of heats. I don't know if anyone could have expected it, but also Heat 3 has been a little bit of an uninspected ride. So Poyo and Peterbot kind of just playing things as they see them. But as far as grand finals go, you know, they're currently in our first place spot for consistency, but with 243 points, Vivid, I just don't know if it's enough.
I mean, yeah, who knows, right? Nah, they're definitely chilling. 37 eliminations on the day as well. Watching some of that back, by the way, I couldn't believe I was kind of watching it, right? Kelly coming up forward, throwing it to me right there. As I was watching, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, how did Peterbot and Play go down? And it happened fast, man. The higher ground take from Power and Penta there that game was honestly incredible stuff from them, and no surprise to see how good they are to be able to take down Peterbot and Poyo to find them in that second place spot on the consistency leaderboard as well. So, you know, great stuff from them to go ahead and take that game.
I love it. I love it. Let's take a look at page 2. Okay, let's flip on over. So top 15, basically, after this last game is where we need to be if we want to be in that top 10 of consistency. Right now, bleeding edge of qualing, right? We talked about them at the start of this show, but, you know, Kelly, they're only 5 points ahead. That's really not enough. And with that second place out of Oliver OG, they also jump up 10 places. Like,
10
Kelly,
places.
this is going to come down to the wire.
I mean, obviously, a lot of us looking towards... Looking at a lot of our other names there's still people jumping up so many placements in our leaderboard. This is definitely still not it. And when it comes down to heat, you could literally be in last place. But if you are able to walk away with the victory royale, that is all you need. And it is possibly Oliver OG's story that he is going to be wrapping up from game number 5. They had such a good game number 4. Out of match, if you don't have much else going for you, honestly, there's only so much you can do besides run away, try and go for the heal off, and then realize, oh wait, I don't have what I need for the heal off, let me go back.
I gotta tell you, I don't want to speak this into fruition, but man, it's gonna hurt if Oliver OG and Brilliant do not qualify in that competition where Red Team don't wait for 1v1, because right now they are sitting outside of that threshold. 16th place right now, 106 points. To kind of speak on the history of how the heats have gone this weekend, in heat number 1, we were sitting at 145 points to qualify to grands through consistency, and then in heat number 2 it was 174. I don't think we're gonna get up to the 170s today, but it does look like I wouldn't be surprised if it was around that 145 mark again, which if you take a look at some of our teams, right, we've got Booga up there in 12th place, is pretty close to 145, and who knows if it's exactly going to be that, but still a little bit below that. Man, I still am kind of waiting for that pop-off game from this duo. I did request, I was like, hey, you know, I want Graze to get a little bit more into the action. Again, this game right here, they ended this one with just 2 eliminations. I'm still looking for that big pop-off game. They've got one more opportunity to do it. Hopefully they at least get into the end game, because a solid game getting there would probably qualify them.
I mean, obviously, there's only so much that we can watch in the early games right here, but you do have to wonder if just these early games aren't working out for Booga and Grace. To go to Zone 8 with just 10 builds is definitely not the position you want to be in. I'm wondering if it's just bad rotations or whatever, but regardless, yes, they're close to that precipice of not qualifying, but it's Booga and Grace. If anyone's going to be able to lock in the final game, Zeke, it's got to be Booga.
That's right. This is it. The final game out of Heat 3. If you're a duo and you're not inside that top 10, don't give up. Fight till the very end. This could still go any which way. Fortnite fan, for the last time today, lock in! Game number 5 starts now.
He said it himself. Game number 5 is here, and the most important game of the day. 4 teams already snatched their ticket to the finals by winning these games, and right now is the last chance. Everybody is on equal footing here.
Yeah, you know, it's been quite the crazy tournament day, if we do say so ourselves. First off, it started with jamming all this competition into the week, and now here we're at the final stretch to pick our last teams, Jacob, that are going to qualify.
Yeah, and it's going to be close. It was like 10 points in yesterday's heat separating who went to the grand finals and who has to try again in the LCQ. Heat 1 was a little bit closer, and I'm just kind of hoping this one goes down to the wire. We've seen teams inside of the bubble and outside of the bubble lay it all on the line to get to the grand finals. It's the final countdown, last game of the day. Monster, let's jump right into it.
Heat 3, Game 5, the last of the evening is now before us. Obviously, we've seen so much develop, especially in the last 5 rounds of Fortnite. However, this game is going to be the most important. We saw that just in 2 games, you had been basically able to put yourself in 5 finale stretch. Oliver OG, though, is one of those teams, Jacob, right? We want to see him do well, and they're just right there.
So close by. Again, Clicks and Higgs. And this is something Zeke said himself, for one of the first times ever we've seen a team not only switch drop spots, but claim a brand new drop spot and literally write their name on it. Clicks and Higgs went from Wonky Land to Squibbly Shores to basically a split drop in the middle of nowhere. They're inside of the bubble as of now, Monster, but it's so close. Field attention, Tenya, Proxy, or Fields. The battle that's been going down all day long. Proxy and Tenya are going to get that early lead, and with this being their last chance to win the game, it's all on Kippy's shoulders for him and his duo to have any bit of a chance.
This is crazy close, and I'm thinking about, I just want to bring that conversation back to Clicks and Higgs for a second. They are, playing well outside their comfort zone right now, really having to mix it up, and just shows you how much pressure they have on their shoulders to just secure a couple more points, right? To make sure they actually get their grand final spot, because it's not free. It's not free for anyone just yet. That's how close it is on the standings here. Even for Bugha, we're still having to perform here. Just a couple more points, but again, we've seen how difficult these mid games can be.
Especially with how many lurks just like this that we're seeing all over the map, just trying to sneak up on players just like that. Turbulence did not see it coming. Zusto slams him right back to the lobby. Luckily for them, though, his duo was the mini-map there. Even though he is close by, they don't know where he's actually at. So it does look like Lucky T down below has no choice but to sit and wait, and hopefully that team rotates out instead of camping the card.
Now look at this, though. Most important fight for Oliver OG right now. And of course, the team that's been contesting them here at the north side. They've managed to win it consistently time and time again, but it just makes you wonder, is it finally the opponents' time? First shot's going to go to the losing side for Oliver OG. Carillion, though, just there to back him up and go ahead and take up the trades. Oliver heals, but no, he gets headed out from below. So this is really bad for Carillion. Forced to concede the box there, and now he's starting to run out of maps.
And it's happening so early on in this game. They don't really have a ton of resources. Not only you talk about mats, but heals as well. But Oliver G is still approaching the fight with aggression. Tries to go ahead and get them down. Missed a couple of shots. That one was definitely scary. Missed that one on trying to get the actual elimination for the Siphon. Luckily for him, Carillion scoops up that second elimination, giving them a chance. And they performed so well in that last game. They don't even necessarily need the win here. They just need enough points.
Yeah, that was crazy. 2 elims right there, but the 50-50 from Oliver's side. Not sure how I feel about that one. Take a look at Tyler's 2-piece pickup right here. He drop kicks Max in the box, then finds Preston with no HP on the other side here. So finishes that one up. And just like that, they are in the race to the finish line. 87 points earned. Big damage as well to survive what could be the first sword warning in a couple moments. For Bobby, for Mar, we've seen some early game success out of this team, but nothing after that. So Penta Power is a team that has nothing to lose. They've done it all. They've done what they need to. That last game was honestly the best they could have asked for.
Trying to contest a better drop because they're actually marked in the beginning of this tournament that we're landing south of Sandy Strip, but that was also contested. So if you're going to fight for a drop, I always think might as well get something for it, but just interesting decision to choose the drop to go against Power and Penta, who will all but have their spot secured here in the FNCS Grand Finals, almost playing with nothing to lose, so it's a different type of pressure versus Bobby and his duo are facing right now. You see, they're not necessarily going straight in for the 50-50. They realize if they're going to have any shot at winning the game, it's not going to be off the back of taking down Power and Penta. It's going to be off consistent, good plays throughout the course of the game.
big things happening here. Peterbot, Boyo with some early rotates, looking like they're trying to hunt for someone right now.
Looks like he went towards Scribbly, hoping to find Clicks and Higgs yet again. Runs into Noxie and Mason. It's really just unfortunate for Noxie and Mason here. They weren't even the intended targets, but they get taken down, separated from one another. Mason's gonna have to sit back, watch Noxie, and hopefully he survives this. But you gotta be careful because MikeBot, by himself, hiding inside his Squibbly Shores, and all he needs is one good pump, but no! The same feeling.
I was afraid, Jacob, this was gonna happen. Madden and Cole rotate in. You know, it's just a matter of time before those other teams start to do something different, and they know you're contested, right? So you almost can't do the same thing you've done game after game. You have to mix it up. That's why, like, Clicks and Higgs were smart enough to know, like, all right, yeah, we have some pressure on our back. Let's do something a little different. And unfortunately, Oliver OG just, it's almost like he played into the book, you know?
Oh, they heard the reboot. Mike was waiting there for so long. Hopefully the push went on to someone else, but they disengaged off one fight. Fights for the other. Mike, just like Logan, is hitting haymakers, making Poyo almost second-guess that decision. But, you know, they love aggression. They love to fight. So they're going to continue to persist the pressure onto Mike. They got to be careful for any third parties entering in their way, but now it does look clear as day. Mike continues to try to back up, runs into Poyo a second time, but does not find the same luck.
He hits him hard, though. He almost finished him if Peterbot wasn't there to back him up. That was kind of crazy. So, Boyo forced there to really dig into his heels now twice, back to back. Meanwhile, Clicks and Higgs went from the split drop into the Dark Dominion to go ahead and max out their metal materials. I like this. Definitely like this strategy a lot here. Dark Dominion is one of the very interesting drops that kind of allows you to just do something super off the wall like that, but still know, like,
a lot of teams that do like to rotate towards Dark Dominion, but Liam and Chimp clean up another elimination. They're on the heels of Clicks and Higgs as well in terms of points. Both of them inside of the bubble. Peterbot and Poyo journey continues, but Poyo goes down yet again. This is time for Peterbot to save the day, return the favor for some of the earlier games and performances that Poyo was having. They're already at 6 eliminations here. This is from absolute craziness.
From here on out, any team Peterbot and Boyo pushes, I need to watch the opposite perspective. I need to know what it means for the team on the other side because they are playing with a mission right now. And they have eliminated 3 teams so far. And quite frankly, I can't even tell you if any of those teams were about to qual, but it's over now because Peterbot and Boyo are hunting this last game.
Yeah, just literally ending and crushing dreams as it goes on.
Insane.
Jack and NPen as well, though. They got a much harder journey, but 95 points. 5 between 170, but it might be on the lower end. About 50 points from just theory crafting math, so they need close to a win. But depending on how other teams perform, they might be able to get into the second place. Uh-oh.
Oh, no. They're getting closer and closer. Higgs Clicks on the move here. Even they know they probably shouldn't stay still for too long. Clicks goes into the bush. Peterbot checks the bush blindly. Clicks in a panic, puts the build down. Peterbot just had a feeling, and I think now he knows here what is about to play out. Obviously, you get that information from the client, so surely he knows what the pits are looking like. So here we have it. We're going to get a nice little clash here. Clicks has to win this fight. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, and I see him immediately turn around, trying to put the pressure back onto Peterbot because he had a good advantage over Higgs at the moment. But now they're both just beaming up, and the third parties are now affecting this fight as well. So it's not going to be a clean 2v2. I think anybody would be crazy to think that would be the case. But Peterbot's persistence here. He knows Clicks is in danger of not getting in through heats here today and forcing him to try to go through the LCQ. He's not only taking his drop, he's taking his confidence away by continuously putting down that pressure. Higgs, only a sliver of shield missing. It's Clicks that needs most of that pressure being put off of him, but he's going to be the one that does go down. Ooh. But Higgs does a good job of trading it away. 1v1, but Higgs goes down. Poyo wins the fight. Clicks and Higgs have just been eliminated in Game 5.
And we knew it, man. Poyo is just playing so well today. Higgs, unfortunately, did very good. Beats Peterbot in the exchange, and then that just happens in the end. Here comes Percento. He sees what happens. He's trying to get a piece of the action here. Might as well put the name in the lights, the camera, and the action here. But Peterbot and Boyo, they have done what they came here to do.
For Clicks and Higgs, they're going to be looking at the 149 points, hoping it holds. But Peterbot goes down yet again. Boyo stuck in a solo clutch situation. Get Percent and Tragic 70 points. Almost needing a win here in order to get in the FNCS Grand Finals. The last spot claimed through a victory royale. And like that, but it doesn't look like it's over just yet. Boyo still going on the offensive. You can see he has over the amount of gold needed to purchase the reboot back, but it might be he wants to go for the actual card, so that way he has enough gold to visit the vending machine.
Definitely has some time to work with here. Meanwhile, Power, Penta, they've been fired up for good reason. They find Bobby here, who's just outside the palms. That team gets fully wiped up right there. So 149 points ends up being how far Clicks and Higgs have made it. The real question is it going to be enough to hold up? You saw the teams, about 3 teams in the 111-point range mark. It will require all 3 of those guys to basically make an end game if they really want to get pushed out easily. But more importantly, the best thing that can happen, I guess, is someone up at the top takes a win.
Yeah, and already we're seeing teams like, Power